All right. Welcome, everybody. This is Sean Malarkey. I want to get this, let's get the show rolling. On the first webinar, so this will be actually the third webinar we've done with Trevor. We had a lot of people that weren't familiar with Trevor prior to, and we're kind of introduced to Trevor through those first couple webinars. The last webinar, 99% of the people were not familiar with Trevor, and there's a good reason for that. There's two reasons for that, really, but number one, most of you guys don't know of Trevor because really I think when it comes to LinkedIn, Trevor is one of those that really walks the walk and doesn't necessarily talk the talk as much as a lot of the other experts or gurus that we have on. So it's this kind of, I don't want to say his coming out party, but really we're kind of bringing Trevor onto the scene, if you will. He's recently, Lewis passed the torch, if you will, to Trevor, and Trevor is now doing our LinkedIn Influence training, which is our complete LinkedIn training. So as a result of all that, Trevor is now doing more webinars and things like this for the internet crowd. If you guys, some of you guys do know of him, he's been speaking a lot, doing kind of the corporate speaking tour, if you will, and also doing a lot of collegiate stuff. I think he just spent 2 weeks traveling around the Midwest talking to college athletes about the use of social media and using LinkedIn and whatnot. He's written for a lot of top magazines on the topic of LinkedIn, top publications, and then also he has a business that is all about LinkedIn, so he helps people with LinkedIn, and he has clients ranging from, well, he's probably going to tell you in his thing, but just know you're in the great place. You are getting ready to listen to somebody who probably knows more than LinkedIn than 99.999% of people on the planet. He is, as I said, the person that Lewis has kind of passed the torch to be the LinkedIn educator, if you will. So you know you're in a great place. You're going to get an awesome presentation. The feedback we got at the end of the last presentation was unbelievable, and that's why a lot of people came back. So without any further ado, I guess I'll just be quiet and kind of pass the mic to Trevor and let him do his thing. Are you with us, Trevor?
Hey, Sean. How's it going? I'm here.
Good, man. Good. Are you ready?
I'm ready, sir.
Okay, awesome. We haven't had anybody say, let's get on with it, but I know the comments people are thinking it, so I'm just going to shut up and let you do your thing.
No doubt. All right. Well, hey, I definitely want to get into all the good stuff here with you guys, but please do as well engage with me on the chat here. I want to see your comments, your questions, anything that you want to talk about throughout the presentation. Just go ahead and type it into that question box. And if you can right now too, as Sean mentioned, we got a lot of these that show up just as friend because of that one-click registration. So if you can just type in your name and maybe tell me where you're located as well. It's always nice to see where people are watching this from, and it always amazes me that we see people from right around the world, especially when it's the middle of the night in some cases in the UK or Australia or whatever it might be. So let me just go through a few of these. I'm just going to read a few out. So we got Sam in Sydney on here. So there you go, right? So I don't even know what time it might be in Sydney, Australia right now. I'm assuming that's in Australia anyways. Yeah. So we got Dawn from Vermont on here. Mary from Coquitlam. Nice. I don't know, I haven't spoke for a lot of time yet, but I'm actually in Vancouver, so you might hear a bit of an accent from time to time. I know it comes and goes, it fades on me as I do different speaking tours in the United States as well, but I'm not far from you, Mary. Jen from BC as well. We got Barry from Portland, Oregon. That's not too far from here. Trisha in Arizona. What else we got? Daryl, another Australian here. Daryl in Melbourne. I always say Melbourne and get corrected on that one. Here's another Vancouverite. Doug, good to see you here. Got Dorothy from Austin, Texas. Got Cheryl from Texas as well. Like I say, let me get into some of the good stuff here for you guys because I have a lot of information to pack in for you. As Sean mentioned, we've done a couple of these webinars already, and if you were on the last one, don't worry. I'm going to give you some fresh, brand new stuff, some new nuggets, some new top secret information, if you will, that'll help you get to the next level with LinkedIn. And bear with me as I go through a couple of things that, for all of you new people that maybe don't know who I am, or don't really know that much about LinkedIn, I'll talk a little bit about that as well as we go through the presentation here too. So let me ask all of you another question before we get going, because I really want to know what kind of results you're looking to take away from today's training. It helps me understand what type of people I have on the webinar. Are you here for more leads perhaps? Maybe your business is already successful and you're perhaps looking for investors for your business. Or maybe you're somebody that's in a job that you just don't like and you'd rather transition to something that you're passionate about, that you can get up truly loving what you do on a daily basis. So if you type that in there, that'll give me more of a sense of kind of how to tailor my content throughout the presentation here. So I'm seeing lead generation. There's always lots on that. Increased sales, of course. Dawn from Vermont says leads as well. Leads for network marketing. Let's see what else. Great ways to sell my career product. That one's from Mary. Success in marketing a service. Okay, so that's a different thing, I guess, than the lead side of things, and we'll definitely go through bits of that as well on how to increase your brand and market your products and services on LinkedIn as well. Consulting services, of course, you know, I'm sure we have a lot of entrepreneurs, consultants on here, possibly some speakers, maybe a few authors as well. If you are, just let me know, because I do want to know that as well. I see leads, realtor, so that's from Trisha. And there's definitely all kinds of things that you can take from this for whatever industry you're in. I'll tell you that as well. It doesn't matter if you're a realtor or a mortgage broker in that space, or if you're on the financial side of things, or if you're offering services, maybe you're a copywriter or a graphic designer. Whatever the case might be, there's something for you to pull away from here. So this is great. Thanks very much for putting that stuff in there, and just keep it coming in as well as we go. And I also want to ask you this, and this is where, you know, you can type this into the box if you want to, because I like to hear the responses, but what would it feel like ultimately to know how to use LinkedIn to easily get those leads for your business, those investors for your ideas, or perhaps that inside edge to landing your dream job? And when I say that, I really want you to go to a place with me here where, you know, think about what it would actually feel like. And I do this and I say this because if we can truly visualize ultimately what we want, it actually helps us get to that place much quicker. It's almost as though psychologically we can, you know, envision where we want to be and then start to put the pieces together on how LinkedIn can help. Because of course, I'm going to show you strategies here that you're going to have to think about. How does this work for you and your business? And tell me this, the answer to this question here. What could you buy ultimately with the new revenue that you might generate as a result of using LinkedIn as a lead generation tool and increasing the sales in your business? And I got some amazing responses last time. Just, you know, like, what's on the bucket list for you? Are you looking, would you love to travel around the world possibly? I know somebody last time said that I'm looking to have another baby, and obviously babies are not cheap in this world, so you need money to be able to get to that goal. Maybe it's a new car. Or a boat or something to that degree. I'm just going to look here on the answers. I got financial freedom for all my family. That's great. That one's from Loretta. What else do we got on here? Outsourcing, more courses online, travel, car. Yeah, just put them all on the list, right? Why not? Let's see. Pay some bills. Yes, absolutely, right? You guys are here for the outcome, right? I'm going to teach you the steps to use LinkedIn to ultimately get that outcome that you're looking for. And that outcome could be more revenue for your business. Ultimately, it could be just growing your business. Like I said, maybe you already have a successful business and you're looking to just get it to that next level and try to see how LinkedIn fits into all of that. I see less stress. Julie says less stress as well. There's no doubt that you know, we could all use a little bit more free time and time to ourselves to reduce those stress levels. So that's my goal here, is to ultimately talk to you guys about all these things. And for you job seekers out there too, there's a lot of information here that will help you connect with the right people that are ultimately in decision-making power with the kind of companies that you want to work with. I have a lot of experience in this area, and I'll tell you more about my background specifically as it relates to working in the sports industry too, because I've done a lot of training and coaching and consulting with different clients on actually shifting from one industry perhaps to another, like into the sports industry. But these tactics work for just about anything you want to do. And like I say, you know, how will this affect your family? And you guys have already answered a lot of this stuff. You know, less stress. Cheryl says, amen to less stress. No doubt. I think we could all use a little bit more money, you know, be able to use these tactics more effectively and more streamlined, and ultimately reduce that stress and get to where we want to be in life. So this is what I'm going to go through with you here on the webinar today. I'm going to talk to you about the big mistake that I see a lot of people making on LinkedIn and ultimately how to avoid it. And I want to go through that first because it really kind of ties into everything else that I'm going to talk to you about here today. And the second one is two top secret LinkedIn lead strategies that I have for you. If you were on the last webinar, you would have seen the one that I showed you. I'm actually going to show you that same one as well as a different one, because obviously not all of you were here on the last webinar, but I'll dive in. I'll actually show you my desktop, and I'm going to show you these two secret areas that won't be secret anymore once you see them, but man, oh man, do these things convert well. And then I'll tell you a bit about my background and my story and how I've ultimately used LinkedIn myself. As Sean said, I've really just kind of got my feet, thrown myself into this space and got my feet dirty and really just learned by doing and adjusting constantly. And I've used LinkedIn myself to, generate $40,000 in sales from a LinkedIn group. So I'm going to talk a bit about LinkedIn groups here today. Then I'll discuss why I believe LinkedIn really truly is the best social media tool for business professionals, far exceeding the other ones that are out there. And there's a lot, as you know. There's the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, Pinterest, the list goes on and on. And then I'm going to talk to you about how to find and connect with prospects you've never met and ultimately get them to reply. So on the first webinar, I talked about how to connect with your first-degree contacts and ultimately drum up some new business and get referrals that way. This webinar, I'm going to speak more to the idea of how do you connect with those people you've never met in person. So those second-degree contacts, what do you say to them? How do you find them? How do you reach out to them? And how do you ultimately increase the rate of response so that you can start to see these opportunities rolling in for you and your business to generate more revenue? And then with your permission as well, I'd love to also tell you about the step-by-step program that I've created here to help you really generate the real results that you're looking for from LinkedIn. And Sean already alluded to the idea that there's all kinds of stuff that you can do with LinkedIn, and Linked Influence, the course that we've created, really kind of takes things to that next level. It's the step-by-step guide for you to be able to walk through this. We've got all kinds of great resources in there. And like I say, with your permission, I'd love to be able to tell you about that as well at the end of the webinar. And then we'll also get into some Q&A, so keep those questions coming in. Sean will be monitoring it, I'll be monitoring it, and of course we'll answer as many of them as we can at the end of the webinar. So let me get into the good stuff here for you. So the first thing that I want to address with you is this big mistake that I see people making on LinkedIn all the time. And I don't want you to go through this because, of course, I made this mistake as well when I first started with LinkedIn. And this is how I really learned what not to do. And that mistake is really this. You should not always be closing. And if you've seen this movie before, or you know this character, Glenn Ross, played by Alec Baldwin, this scene, he's talking to his 3 salespeople, and he's talking about closing constantly. If you can't get the deal within the first 5 minutes, move on to the next one. And it's just cold call after cold call after cold call. And if there's any salespeople on the call here right now, you'll know how frustrating and challenging that can be. And ultimately, this approach does not work on LinkedIn. In fact, it doesn't really work on social media at all. Instead, what you should be doing is looking at offering value and building trust. Just like Albert says here, right? Not everything that counts can be counted. Not everything that can be counted counts. A lot of this stuff comes down to ultimately approaching the communication side of using social media and LinkedIn in particular in a way that builds that value, or builds trust rather, and offers value so that you can build the relationship and see all kinds of leads coming your way over time and even instantly as well. I've seen instant results from the tactics that I'm going to show you here today. And my success really, like I said, has skyrocketed on LinkedIn after I participated in this leadership program down in Los Angeles. And this was something that Lewis Howes actually convinced me to go into. I was a little bit hesitant at first, but by the time I went through it, I really learned the value of being in service. And I shifted the way that I was using LinkedIn previously to ultimately be of service to other people. And there's a tie into this to everything that I'm going to show you here in the webinar, which is why I feel it's important to talk about it right off the bat. Because ultimately, just like this Napoleon Hill quote says, it is literally true that you can succeed best and quickest by helping others succeed. And this is the rule of thumb for anything to do in life, especially as it relates to the social media side of things, because if you can help other people get what they want, you're ultimately going to get what you want too. So we'll use that kind of strategy here in all of the different tips that I'm going to show you here throughout the webinar. And on that note, let me show you first of all these 2 top secret LinkedIn lead strategies that I have for you. And to do this, I'm actually just going to jump over to my desktop, and please just go ahead and type into the box there. I want to make sure you guys can see this and we're not having any technical difficulties or anything. Just let me know you can see my screen. It should be on the Who Viewed Your Profile page on my LinkedIn account. Yes, 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 all good. Okay, perfect. So this is the first one that I want to talk to you about. And like I said, if you were on the first webinar, you would have heard this one already, so bear with me. But for all of you that haven't seen this before, this feature or this element of LinkedIn is ultimately under the profile tab here up in the top. So under who's viewed your profile, LinkedIn has revamped this here in the last couple of years, or sorry, in the last couple of months, rather. It changes really fast, not the last couple of years. But you'll see here that there's all kinds of statistics that I can see now for my profile views, how people found me, ultimately, you know, some of the where the people work that have found me, and I can see, you know, how many views I've had and the actions that I've taken during that time. And that's all great, but what's important here is the people that are looking at me, right? You can see that I actually have a premium account. Now, just full disclosure, everything I'm going to show you here you can do with a free account. I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. The only limitation that you would have with the free account is that you would only see the most recent 5 people that have viewed your account. Now, why this is an important area to pay attention to in LinkedIn and what you can ultimately do with this is that when people are viewing your profile, they're there for a reason, right? Either they've been referred by somebody else, they're doing a search looking for a solution to some type of a problem, and I would bet that the majority of you on this webinar probably never really visit this, maybe to look at it, but what do you do with it? Maybe type that into the question box and let me know how many of you actually use this feature within LinkedIn and are active in responding to people that look at your profile. Let's see here. So I'm seeing never, don't have a clue. Jocelyn says don't have a clue. There's one yep in there. Occasionally. I'm not active on LinkedIn. Loretta says that. Yes, but need to more. And again, if you guys can type in your name with your response as well. I'm just seeing a lot of friend here, so I don't know exactly who's saying what. Let's see. Stanley says don't do it because it looks creepy. I guess you could say it looks creepy. I should say that this is something that's truly unique to LinkedIn. You can't do this with other social platforms. Twitter, you can't see who's looking at your profile. Same with Facebook. With LinkedIn, you can. So let me tell you how I use this tool within LinkedIn to ultimately get more opportunities and more leads for my business. It really comes down to being proactive and ultimately reaching out to these people in a moment where you know that they've looked at your profile. Now, I say that knowing full well that there's definitely a fine line on the approach that you take with this. If you're responding, you know, right away when somebody looks at your profile, you know, maybe it can come across as a little creepy, right? For lack of a better term, just to use Stanley's words there. But what I would suggest is that within, you know, the 12 to 24-hour mark, as you see people checking out your profile, you want to respond back to them. And what do you say to them? Well, I want to share with you one of the scripts that I've created, and I've got dozens of these scripts, and I'll tell you more about them all at the end of the webinar. But this is one of them, for example, that I use, and I have my staff use, and our clients use this as well on an ongoing daily basis. And this literally takes 5 minutes or less a day. If you do this, you're going to see more results from LinkedIn. So you'll see the thank you, the subject line is thank you for viewing my profile, and then customize it with the person's name. And then you can read the rest of it there. But essentially, ultimately what I'm saying here is that, hey, thanks for reaching out and thanks for viewing my profile. I'm reaching out to you to see if there's any way that I can help with you. And if you want an introduction or any kind of advice, let me know. And then one of the key elements on here is, by the way, my email is X, right? Insert here. And you can see these are very template based, what I'm showing you here, so that you can basically, you know, cut and paste and do this yourself. But why you would do that is that in some cases, people won't necessarily be first-degree connections with you. And you can see that in my case here, I've got 3 first-degree connections, but then I've got a third-degree connection here as well. If I scroll down further, there's another third-degree connection. So these are people checking out my profile. Here's a second-degree connection. So if I wanted to grow my network on LinkedIn, what a great way to do this. They're there, obviously, for a reason. They've looked at my profile because they've found it in some way. So if you use this, you can not only increase your network, but you're also going to find the responses that you get back from this are truly mind-blowing. If you were to do this every day for the next 2 weeks. Do this 50 times, 100 times, and then, you know, let me know what your results are. But I've done this with clients. I do it myself, and the responses that people get are absolutely incredible. There's new business deals to be had all the time, and there's all kinds of opportunities out there. Here's a question. I don't know who this one's from, but it says, can you send this by another method so that we can copy it? I will tell you exactly how to get scripts just like this at the end of the webinar, so just go ahead and stick around for that. I've got a slide that'll tell you exactly how to get that, okay? So that is the first tip that I have for you. So, and I know a lot of you said that, you know, I've never used this before, don't have a clue how to use it. That Liz said that, and you're not alone, right? I would bet that 90% of people don't know what to do with this feature. So instead, they just, you know, think it's kind of neat or creepy, as Stanley said. But in fact, it's a way for you to generate business on LinkedIn. Now, the second tip that I have for you is around the idea of LinkedIn groups. Now, how many of you currently use LinkedIn groups actively? So are you posting in groups as an individual, or perhaps you own your own group, or you've set up a group yourself? Just type that into the box there as well, so that I know exactly what position you're all in here as far as using groups. Let's see here. I'm seeing yes, moderate and contribute regularly. Will said that. Daryl says I'm a member of many groups. Stanley, I post questions in active groups and then reach out to people with useful answers. Yeah, that's great. That's definitely a strategy for building trust and authority in your space. That's a great way to do it. Let's see here. This one's just anonymous again, but member of groups, but that's it. Oh, that was for Dawn, sorry. Belong to groups, but never look at them. Yeah, that's a typical thing, right? A lot of people belong to groups and they don't necessarily know what to do with it. But on the other side of things, you can actually start your own group. And why is this important? Well, if you've heard of any webinars in the past talking about LinkedIn, you'll probably know how powerful a group can be. And there's one thing in particular that I want to talk to you about here, and I'm just going to go into the manage area and then into templates here in the back end, because this feature, this strategy, literally will help you grow your email list on autopilot. And I'll talk to you about some statistics as well of how I've used this, because this group right here is called the Sports Industry Network. It's a group that I've helped grow over the last 4 years along with Lewis. And it is the largest sports industry group for professionals on LinkedIn with over 166,000 members. And you can see here that there is a welcome message that you can set up in a group. And why is this important? Well, you can see that it's set to auto send, but I'm going to show you this template as well. And again, this is something that I have all of these templates. If you wait around to the end, I'll tell you exactly how to get all these. But if you look at this, you'll notice that the subject line says, "Welcome to the Sports Industry Network, confirmation requested." Now, the email that goes out is, you know, congratulations for joining the group, but hold on a second, we've got more value for you. And imagine that, right? I'm kind of talking in a similar theme about trust and offering value and building trust, rather. So what we do with this is we essentially offer more value to people. We say, hey, go ahead and click on this link, and you're going to get more information. You're going to get access to people in your industry that you want to meet. You're going to get, you know, information on upcoming conferences. So this is, you know, a method that we can ultimately use to drive people to another page. And if I just copy this link out of here, I'm going to show you what this link looks like. All right. So this link, when people actually click on it, and this comes right into their inbox instantly as soon as they join that group, and the group is completely open, it basically sends them to this landing page. And oh, that's weird, actually. I've been having all kinds of trouble with YouTube today. I don't know if you guys have as well, but typically there's a video that would play here, and it's a auto-playing video that has Lewis on it saying, hey, welcome to the group. We have a whole bunch more stuff for you. If you'd like to sign up, we're also going to give you this free ebook as well. And let me tell you, this strategy alone has converted like crazy for us. And I'm actually going to jump in and show you right away. Unfortunately, I signed out here, but it should only take me 1 second to get back in. This is Infusionsoft. This is ultimately the email list that all of those emails that we're capturing goes into. So I'll show you how many emails we've been able to capture, and then I'll tell you the timelines on this as well. And if you've used Infusionsoft before, you'll know that it is quite complicated, but wow, is it powerful. Okay, so here's the saved search that we have. And so this is all of the contacts that have gone through the form on the page that I just showed you here 1 second ago. And let's see, let's let that load up. Come on now. There we go. It's just being a little stubborn for me. All right, there we go. So you see 8,721 email leads that have come in through that form alone. And like I said, once we set up that welcome message, so anybody joins on LinkedIn, they get the welcome message, they click on that link, they ultimately can sign up for our email list. And we've seen incredible conversion rates on this, like 30-40% of the people that join the group ultimately end up on the email list as well. And if you're in any kind of business that has email marketing, you'll know that it's incredibly powerful. Email marketing is still probably one of the best ways, if not the best way, to reach your target clients and ultimately convert leads into sales. So why not leverage a tool like LinkedIn to be able to generate results like this? And I can tell you, these results here are only within the last 8 months. This has not been set up for that long. And ultimately, it's just growing like crazy on autopilot here while we do nothing essentially, because it's all very searchable from right within LinkedIn. So people go on to LinkedIn and they find this group, join it, and ultimately end up on our email list. So how many of you knew about that strategy? Just type it into the box there. Yeah, and there's a question from Patrick. Is there an autoresponder as part of LinkedIn? This is essentially the autoresponder. They call it a welcome message, which I guess those are essentially two different things. But the autoresponder feature would be built into the email marketing tool like Infusionsoft that you just saw there. Let's see, what else? I'm just going to look at some of the questions here. A lot of people are saying, no, have never heard of that before. Sounds very promising. Jocelyn says, yeah, absolutely. Yes, I did know about this and its power. Loretta says, awesome. So did not know about this strategy. Doug says, so great. I really wanted to give you guys some new information that will help you understand the power of LinkedIn. And this is just one aspect of it. Groups are incredibly powerful. So let me just jump back to the presentation here, and of course if you have any questions around that, I'm happy to answer them at the end of the presentation, but for the sake of time, respecting your time, I'm just going to keep rolling along here because I really want to get to the strategy I was telling you about to reach out to those second degree contacts. And I've got another script for you. Imagine that. It's really around messaging and scripts. This is a lot of the value that people are raving about when they're going through our Linked Influence training. So I'm going to tell you all about that as well. But really quickly, just a little bit about me, because you may still be wondering, you know, who is this guy that's talking to you with the funny accent, and ultimately, you know, has a couple of good tips here. But let me tell you my background as to how I got into this and why I really, you know what I know about LinkedIn and how I've learned myself. So imagine this, I'm a Canadian and I grew up playing hockey. I know, shocking, surprising, right? But I did actually have a lot of success with hockey in my younger years. I was a college player in the States as well as in Canada, and that unfortunately was about as close as I ever came to winning the Stanley Cup. So my dream had to end at about the age of 25, 26 when my college career was ending. And for me, it was really, you know, kind of shocking. I was always just a hockey player, right? But I ended up getting my degree in marketing, and I kind of felt like this guy here at the graduation. You know, I was like, okay, I'm no longer playing hockey. I've got this degree. Now I need a job. What am I going to do? Well, for me, I ended up in sales. It just seemed like a natural transition for me. And I ultimately learned the, you know, quote unquote, old school way of selling. And this was learning from very, very smart sales managers on how to do cold calls, how to hit the phones, how to find leads through local networking, you know, getting up at 6 in the morning, going to that breakfast event, shaking hands, trying to build relationships that way. And ultimately it was very profitable and I was successful at it. But man, oh man, how many of you are salespeople on here and love to do cold calls? I'd love to hear that, because they're usually few and far between maybe 1 or 2% of the audience that we have here. I didn't like it. Most people don't like it. Your success rate is typically, you know, 2%, 1%, 5% maybe, you know, and it's like beating your head against the wall, right? And ultimately, you want to get to a place where you can make things easier, so it's not just about you hammering the phones and getting yelled at 20 times a day, right? And for me, that ultimately was kind of my breaking point where I said, I don't really want to do this anymore, and I became an entrepreneur. So for all of you that, you know, are business owners or consultants or speakers or authors or just working for yourself, you know, let me know. Have you ever read these books before? The 4-Hour Workweek, Permission Marketing, the E-Myth, The Tipping Point. These were all very influential in shifting my mindset towards wanting to figure out some other way to do business. And I started a website development company in 2007 and started to learn some of these principles. And of course, I was still, you know, hitting the phones and going to networking events to build my business. And it was tough going. We had success, but it was really tough. And then ultimately, I discovered social media myself in 2007, roughly. Joined LinkedIn in 2007, Twitter in 2008. And it really shifted the way that I did business. And ultimately, this is how I met Lewis. I actually met Lewis through LinkedIn. Imagine that, right? You can see here, back in 2009, Lewis and I connected on LinkedIn because I was doing a lot of work in the sports industry, especially as it related to social media. And since then, we've actually worked very closely together. We actually worked directly together on Sports Networker, which is one of Lewis's properties that is a sports recruiting website. It basically helps people get jobs in the sports industry. So I did that with him for over 3 years. And ultimately, I've hosted hundreds of webinars on the topic of LinkedIn. I've trained with thousands of students, executives in sports, consultants, as well as people outside of the industry as well. And like I say, I've generated $40,000 plus in advertising sales just through our LinkedIn group alone. There is messaging features built into LinkedIn groups as well that allow you to message all the members just like an email list. And we generated $40,000 in ad sales, but we generated over $100,000 for sure in membership sales for our Sports Executives Association, and all kinds of spin-off opportunities with affiliates and everything else. So this group here was incredibly powerful, is still incredibly powerful. There's over 166,000 members in there now. You just saw it 1 second ago. And ultimately, I was the person in the background that was doing a lot of the strategies and figuring out exactly how things work alongside Lewis as he was doing webinars, of course, with Sean and writing books and everything else. So, that's brought me here to today, where I've worked with numerous Fortune 500 companies, including General Motors, Raymond James in the financial industry, as well as Bank of Montreal, which is one of our big 5 banks here in Canada. I've worked with the Michael E. Gerber companies, which, of course, Michael E. Gerber is the author of the E-Myth book. He has a training program for entrepreneurs and business owners. And I've been, quoted in Forbes on this topic. I write for Entrepreneur Magazine. I'm actually just about to start a column on the topic of LinkedIn on entrepreneur.com as well. So I've had a lot of success in this area, and I've really learned from digging in and ultimately, learning by making mistakes, which is why you guys are here. You don't want to make those mistakes. So please learn from all of the stuff that I've learned over the years. And if you are new to LinkedIn, let me tell you why I really ultimately believe it is the best social media tool for you and all business professionals. Now, there is over 300 million members on LinkedIn, and now it's probably even greater than 313 million. This was about a month ago or 2 months ago now. But the numbers on the right there, you'll see that it's about a third of the population in every major English-speaking country that has membership on LinkedIn. And of course, there's incredible growth happening in a lot of developing countries too, like Brazil and India, with their economies really picking up. The workforce is getting on LinkedIn as well, and these are decision makers. And I'll tell you more about the demographics of the people on LinkedIn so that you can really know that the right people are there for your business. But before I do that, a couple of statistics for you. First of all, this stat is from a very popular inbound marketing company that does a lot of studies called HubSpot, which you've probably heard of before. But this study said that LinkedIn is 277% more effective for lead generation than Facebook and Twitter. And they were talking about visits to lead conversion rates. And the reason for that I have to believe is because the people that are on LinkedIn are truly there to do business, right? They're there for a reason. They actually want to hear from other people that can help, teach them new skills or can offer a service that might save them time or money. They're there because they want to do more business. So what better place for you to be if ultimately you want to do more business as well? And I asked, or I've made a couple references to this already, but how many of you are actually salespeople here on the webinar? Just type it into the chat box there and let me know. Are you in a sales position? And when I say sales, I also mean all you entrepreneurs and business owners out there too. And in fact, I mean you job seekers too, because everybody's ultimately a salesperson. You are selling yourself, you're selling your products, your services, whatever it might be, your company to investors, that type of thing. And ultimately, you need to know this. And Cheryl says, I'm in marketing, but of course you need to know what the salespeople want if you're in marketing, because we all know how well marketing and sales get along, right? So the better that you can get to know what their needs are, the better, more success that they'll have too. But The point I'm making on this is that over 78% of salespeople are using social media to outsell their peers, and LinkedIn really is at the top of that list. And it just ties back to what I said a moment ago about there being, real people there that want to do business. And for all of you job seekers too, I'm not going to leave you out on some of the statistics here. 94% of companies are using LinkedIn as well to recruit top talent, and that number is probably even higher than this. This is an article from the Washington Post. There's hundreds of them online if you go and check it out. Employers are looking to Google, finding LinkedIn profiles at the top of the list because Google or LinkedIn ranks really high on Google, and they're screening candidates before they ever even bring them into interviews. And I put this one on here because I thought it was kind of funny. I just saw this article last week, but even Santa Claus is using LinkedIn to recruit now. Now, this is an actual company in the UK that writes letters to kids and some adults, I'm sure, that write into Santa. And of course, you can imagine the manpower that's needed for that. So they've actually set up a profile for Santa Claus to recruit people to write letters to kids at Christmas time. And, it's just a testament to the fact that, everybody's on LinkedIn, or they're getting there, or they're being enticed to because they're receiving all of these invitations. And no matter what your professional or business goals, LinkedIn is ultimately the answer. And I don't think I need to beat that on you anymore. I'm sure if because you guys are here, you ultimately know that. But let's talk about the demographics really quickly here, because I want to tell you exactly the type of people that are there and why it's important too. So just type into the question box again with your name if you can. What do you think is the largest demographic on LinkedIn? So this is based on the number of members. So just type either A, B, C, or D, and then add your name in there as well so that I can see. So A being Gen Y, 14 to 33-year-old age, Gen X, 34 to 49, baby boomers at 50 to 68, or those traditionalists at 69 to 89. So just type that in there. So I'm seeing a lot of C's and a lot of B's, which is typical. It's usually about a 50 split, and that's what it looks like here again. I see a couple of A's in there, not a whole lot of D's, which is pretty standard. Most people don't expect that the traditionalists are the ones that are going to be the greatest. Well, let me tell you what the answer is here. It is the baby boomers, and in fact, they have over 33% of the membership base on LinkedIn. Now, I tell you that knowing full well that very close behind is that Gen X crowd at around 29%. And if you think about it, a third of the population on LinkedIn, we're still talking hundreds of millions of people. So, if the baby boomers aren't your demographic, don't worry, your audience is still there. The other ones, the Ys and the traditionalists, are really kind of split evenly on this as well. But why are the baby boomers important? Well, they make up 35% of the U.S. population, and they control 70% of the disposable income. And now this is important, of course, because these are your potential buyers, right? These are the people that are in decision-making powers for whatever it might be, whether it's, deciding on real estate agents or mortgage brokers or a financial advisor or a coach or a consultant, or if you're an author looking for publishers. Like, these are people that are controlling those decisions and ultimately control your fate and the success of your business. And that last bullet there really speaks to the fact that these baby boomers are also working much later in age too. So, you want to be aware of the fact that these people are there, they're powerful, and they're getting on LinkedIn in record numbers. You probably, if you're new to LinkedIn right now, you might be in this age demographic, and you received, dozens, if not hundreds of LinkedIn invitations, and eventually you gave in, right? Everybody's going this direction as well. And if you're wondering if Cindy Crawford is actually a baby boomer, I'm not going to lie to you that I actually lied here. I believe she's about 48, turning 50, or turning 49 right now. But hey, when you got to represent a baby boomer and you can put a pretty lady on the screen, why not? We'll use Cindy for this one. So, but these guys, again, they're the decision makers, and they're ultimately the ones that you need to know. Now, this is the real juicy stuff that I told you guys that I had for you, because as I mentioned in the last webinar, I went over some strategies on how to connect with first-degree contacts. So people that are already in your network, what do you say to them? How do you reach out to them? How do you generate business from that? Today, what I'm going to talk to you about is how to ultimately find and connect with prospects that you've never met in person. And of course, the key to this as well is get them to reply too, because what's the point of putting a bunch of work in if you can't get replies from this and actually start to see results? So I'm going to show you an exact breakdown of a strategy that I use, my clients use, and many, many, many of our members in Linked Influence as well use to reach out to the right people to ultimately generate leads and prospects for their business. And for the sake of this example here, I'm going to use a profile of a client that I've worked with, Ali Zain. Ali's in San Francisco. His business is as a credit repair expert. So he does debt consolidation. He works with clients that are in trouble credit-wise and ultimately can't qualify for mortgages, and he helps them build up their credit so that they can qualify for that mortgage, get the dream home that they've always been looking for. So his ideal target clients is ultimately the mortgage brokers or the bankers or the real estate agents, whatever it might be, the people that want to get their clients approved for mortgages, right? So there's a couple of key points to this, and I put it right in big letters at the top there. It's a fully optimized LinkedIn profile. What I mean by that is that it's fully complete. It has all the sections completed in it. It's really speaking to his target audience. It has great contact information, all of the elements of a fully optimized profile, and I'll tell you more about how to go about doing that at the end of the webinar as well. The second key element that I want to address with you here too, because I get a lot of questions on this all the time, is like, how many contacts do I need to actually implement a strategy like this? You can see that Ali's hovering around 500 contacts. Now, you don't have to have 500 contacts to implement this strategy. You do probably have to have around 100 at least, I would say. So if you're just getting started, your step one is really optimizing your profile and building your network. But if you're in this range of 100 to 500 plus, you've got a good foundation to start from to ultimately use the strategy that I'm going to show you here in 1 second. And that strategy goes like this. The first step is ultimately finding your ideal target prospects on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is ultimately a search engine, right? No different than Google, no different than YouTube. It's people looking for other people, right? And people are actually using LinkedIn as a main source to go and find that information. And you'll notice here, I've got it highlighted in a red circle there, or that oval in the top right of the screen. The advanced button next to that search box will take you to a screen that looks very similar to this. Now, this view here is actually the free view. I used Ali's profile here to ultimately show you this so that you didn't see my premium account, you ultimately see the free one. So every single person on here, regardless of what type of account you have, has access to all of these functions here. Now, these are the ones that I ultimately used in my search, and I'll go through them starting at the top left and working my way down. First of all, I used the keyword mortgage, okay, because I know that mortgage brokers, mortgage agents, mortgage bankers, mortgage whatever specialists are within Ali's target audience. And by doing so, of course, I'm going to get a wider cast net. I can narrow that down by using, quotes and say mortgage broker specifically. For the sake of this, I use mortgage alone. Now, I've also narrowed it down to just second-degree connections. I don't want my first-degree connections. I don't want my group members or third-degree connections, because there's a specific strategy I'm using here and why I'm choosing second-degree only. Then I can narrow down into the city and the industry, and you can see there's a number of other features here, including the ones in yellow on the right, which are premium features, which certainly do have some value to them because you can sort by function and seniority level and company size and all that kind of stuff. But at its simplest, you can get away with some really great results just by using what I'm showing you here right now. And these are the results of what I got for doing this search for Ali. You can see up in the top left that it was almost 2,000 results for the keyword mortgage based in San Francisco in the real estate industry. And all of these contacts, as you can see on the screen, are second-degree contacts. So these are people that are potential clients for Ali that he has not yet met in person, okay? So how does he go about doing this? What does he say to them? How does he reach out? That's what I'm going to talk to you about now. And it really comes down to this, is these shared connections. So step 2 on this process is really reaching out and connecting with your ideal target prospects. All right? So tell me in the question box there as well, how many of you used the advanced search that I just showed you to really narrow down? How many of you were familiar with that feature and that you can actually dig down into the cities and, based on the role type and using keywords and that type of thing? Little bit, but need to use it more. Sally says, Val says, yes, I'm familiar with it. Linda says, I've never used it before. Betsy, no, I've never used it. Jocelyn says, no, I've never searched for anyone. Cheryl, yes, familiar, but rarely used. I'm seeing a lot of that actually. That maybe you guys are aware of that feature, but maybe you've never used it before. So I just showed you. I just scratched the surface on that, on what you can do in diving into it. But there really is a lot of things that you can actually dig into to find the right people that you're looking for. So step number 2 now. Step number 2 is all about connecting with those ideal target prospects. And we're going to use the top one on the list here from the search that we just did. So Audrey Boissonneau is a second-degree contact. She's a branch manager, mortgage advisor, obviously a decision maker within her company. And how do I go about reaching out to her? So I'm Ali. I've got this great service that I know that I can help her and her clients get approved for mortgages, help her make more money, help her clients get into their dream home. But what do I do? What do I say? Well, the first thought is just connect directly, right? There's a number of ways that you can do this. You can either find their email address, you can connect through common groups. There's all kinds of ways you can send a connection request, but your response rate on that is going to be negligible. It's going to be just like cold calling, just like emailing, right? 1% to 2%. So why do that? You're going to be beating your head against the wall trying to do that every single day, and it's really probably not even worth your time. Instead, again, what you want to do is leverage these shared connections, okay? And you can see that Ali has 4 shared connections with Audrey. And this is why, again, it comes back to having a decent-sized network and really working every day to build that network and using strategies like I showed you at the start, the Who's Viewed Your Profile, to grow your network so that you can see these opportunities. And you can use this feature right here. So in LinkedIn, you can get introduced by your first-degree contacts. And you'll notice on the right-hand side, there's a little drop-down arrow next to the connect button, and in there is a link to get introduced. So when you click on that, it takes you to a page that looks something like this. And this page is no different than what you see if you did any kind of message through LinkedIn. You can see that it's the same view of your inbox with your messages, invitations, etc. But it's got a little bit different feel to it, where it says get introduced to, and then the person's name, and then who should make this introduction. And I had the choice of 4 people here because Ali had 4 in common connections. So this is the one that I chose was Michael here. Now, they even fill in some of the details for you. Michael, can you introduce me to Audrey? And then they even give you a little bit of advice here. Be clear about what you're asking for an introduction. Politely give them a way to say no. Now, that's good, but it still kind of leaves this cloudy feeling. And I know it did for me when I first started because I asked in the wrong way all the time. LinkedIn doesn't really give you feedback on, like, how do you ask for the introduction, What do you mean politely give a way to say no? I want them to say yes, right? So how do you go about doing this? And that's really where this script comes in. And this is, like I said, the juicy stuff that I wanted to really share with you guys, all the people that were here, that are here now for the first time, and the ones that were on the last webinar that haven't seen this yet either. This is the exact script that I use, that my staff uses, that all of our clients use. And ultimately, we've seen as high as 70% response rates on this. It usually varies between 30 and 70% depending on how close the relationship is with that person and whatnot. But this is the strategy, and I'm going to break this down for you so that it makes sense to you, so you can see why this is so easy and why it works. So the first step is, of course, building rapport. And I'm using the San Francisco Giants reference here after they got trounced last night by Kansas City. But of course, they looked really good in the first game. But all we're doing here is just building rapport, right? No different than you do with an email, than a cold call when you're picking up the phone and talking to somebody. You want to start off just by building that rapport. Nothing shocking there. Secondly, the key point to this second paragraph is all about outlining your unique selling proposition or your unique selling position and being completely transparent with what you're doing. Don't make it any surprise to why you're reaching out to them or ultimately what you do. These contacts that you might be asking for the introduction from, maybe you've only met them once or twice, but you've built enough of a relationship, but you maybe haven't seen them for a couple of months, and you got to just remind them, like, who are you? What do you do? Who do you help? How do you help them? Okay? So you can see in this script here, as you know, I specialize in helping, and again, everything in red is basically plug and play. You can insert your own unique scenario with this. So I help first-time home buyers in San Francisco repair their credit to ensure they can qualify for a mortgage. And I was doing research on LinkedIn today. Noticed you're connected to Audrey. So again, I'm being transparent. I'm outlining exactly what I do, who I do it with, and ultimately how I work with people and where I'm located. So make it really simple for them to instantly remember who you are and how you can help. The third part here is the call to action. And this call to action is really, really important in the way that you structure this. So how well do you know, and then again, the person's name, Audrey. I put that in there because you always want to ask, because of the nature of how open networking works in LinkedIn, that not everybody knows each other personally or intimately. Sometimes people will connect and not necessarily have met in person, so maybe they're not comfortable with doing an introduction. So just make it clear, make it easy to understand that, you know, like, I just want to know, how well do you know this person, and would you be willing to introduce me to her? I'm looking to grow my business, and I'd like to offer a complimentary credit assessment to one of her clients. So again, I'm offering value. It's not just, hey, I want to go do a sales call. Can you hook me up and line up a coffee? Don't do that. You want to approach this from the sense of, how can you add value, and ultimately, how can that first-degree contact add value to the person that you're trying to be introduced to, because they become the connector in all of this, and that is powerful from their standpoint, because they can ultimately be the influencer that creates more business for both of you. And most first-degree contacts will be blown away and love that kind of influence as it relates to this strategy. Now, the fourth part is this. If you're not comfortable with introducing me via LinkedIn, I totally understand. So if you remember on the last slide I showed you, LinkedIn actually recommends this too. They say, don't be too pushy, provide a way to say no. And that's all I'm doing here, is provide that polite way to say no, but you can see that I'm not closing the door. I'm not just saying, if you don't want to do this, that's okay. I'm just saying, if you're not comfortable with doing this via LinkedIn, I totally understand. That could open up opportunities for people to go, well, I'm not actually sure what happens if I click on this button, but next time we're at this networking meeting, which so-and-so Audrey in this case is going to be at, why don't you come and I'll introduce you? So it opens up other spin-off opportunities that might not even necessarily be connected to this message itself, but it's not closing the door completely. And then the last part is one of the most important features of this as well, which is, please let me know if I can return the favor and introduce you to someone in my network. So offer to reciprocate. Again, it's about value. And it's not just you offering value to that second-degree contact you want to meet. It's about you offering value to the person that you're asking this favor from, because they need to have something to get in return as well. You know, ultimately, they'll probably want to help you out anyways, but offer to help them as well. And that's really what this is all about, is building trust, offering value, and reciprocating both ways so that both of you can benefit from the power of LinkedIn. I'm just going to check out the comments here. I saw one on here, Go Giants. Yeah, we've got a lot of Giants fans on here, I'm sure. But yes, so I want to ask you guys, what do you think of this script right here? Do you see ultimately how easy it is to use? And, you know, and I want to just remind you again, you know, you don't get what you don't ask for, and that's all this strategy is really all about. So just type this into the chat box here right now. Again, just tell me, can you guys see how simple that strategy is ultimately in finding people using LinkedIn and the advanced search capabilities that are in there, and then ultimately finding the contacts that you want to meet, seeing those first-degree contacts, and then using a script like the one that I showed you. What do you think about that? I just want to get the feedback from you, because it's good for me, because I get to learn a little bit and understand how to teach this better too. I'm seeing, let's see here, and please again, if you can, just type your name next to your comments. But I see very powerful script. Yes, interesting. Cheryl says. Lillian says yes, really illuminating. I love that word. Jenny, Giants on here. Yes. Yes, let's see. I'm short, though. Oh, okay. Not necessarily referencing the San Francisco Giants there. Gotcha. Yes, very simple. Seems very easy to implement for sure. Roxanne says yes. Let's see. Looks good. Brilliant. You've got a great intro and connection, not pushy. I love it. Jocelyn said that. Awesome. So I really appreciate your feedback on that, guys. And, you know, that's what I was hoping to accomplish here with you in showing you these strategies, because, like I said, I've shown you 3 strategies already, right? And those 3 strategies are really just kind of scratching the surface. It's the tip of the LinkedIn iceberg, as they say, on how to increase your network and ultimately generate opportunities through LinkedIn. There's all kinds of other ones as well, but these are some of the most powerful ones that I find that my staff and myself and our clients really use every single day. And as I mentioned at the start of the webinar too, I also, you know, would love to be able to tell you about the program that we've created called Linked Influence that really addresses all of this stuff. So if there was anything along the way here that you had questions about, or you were trying to figure out exactly how those strategies worked, or the step-by-step process, or even the scripts that you were looking at, it's all about the program that we have for you. It's all going to be contained within there. So the program, again, is called Linked Influence, and what it is a digital academy, essentially, with all kinds of resources. And let me just break this down for you. So we've got all kinds of video training inside of Linked Influence with 6 modules, as you can see here. Those modules are all broken down into the 6 key elements that you need to focus on LinkedIn to ultimately get more results. So we talk about the basics, just navigating your way around LinkedIn. We discuss the profile. So remember, I mentioned that you need that fully optimized profile to ultimately get what you want out of LinkedIn, because that's your first impression. The network side of things, I showed you one strategy to increase your network. There's literally dozens that you can use in less than 5 minutes a day to increase your network substantially to start to see more results. And then there's the prospecting side of things, and that's really what I was showing you here today with that script, is you're actively out there looking for clients, you're finding them, you're reaching out to them in a way that's going to generate responses that ultimately opens the door. It creates that sales pipeline for you that you're looking for. And then there's nurture aspects to it as well. These are things that you can do on a daily basis that, will help you see more results, that are just, the daily activities. A lot of people said that they're contributing in groups. That's definitely one of them. But there's literally, dozens, if not hundreds of more things you can do as well. And then there's also advanced training in here as well. So I talked about the LinkedIn groups and how powerful they are. I have a full video that essentially breaks down exactly how to set up your own group, how to do it without having to do all the work yourself, and then ultimately how you can build that email list and use it as a tool to generate more leads and traffic for your business and your website and more clients for your business. And there's also, imagine this, messaging scripts, right? I showed you 2 of them already here on the webinar, and there is a ton more. These are only 14 of the ones that we have inside. There's also more coming here right now because I have a business that actually does this. I do lead generation and LinkedIn training with corporate clients, and I've taken all of the best stuff that I've used myself and with my clients, and I put it into easy-to-follow scripts like the ones that you saw here on the webinar. And you can essentially copy and paste these, insert your relevant information in all of the red areas, and just use these on a daily basis instantly. This is where our Linked Influence members, both the older ones as well as the ones that are joining new now in the last couple of weeks, are saying this is worth every penny that this training costs alone, because it's just got so much value in there where you don't have to think about how am I going to do this, what am I going to say. You can ultimately just take what I've created for you and copy it and use it yourself. And there's new ones that I'm dropping in there every day as we get more feedback from clients and we use this on a daily basis. Now here's some of the other stuff you'll get in there. You'll also get a progress meter to keep you on track. There's quick links to jump to specific sections in the video, timestamps, audio files. I'm going to show you a little glimpse at this as well just in the back end. Just in a second here, but I also want to tell you there's also an outsourcing script in there. So if you're thinking that I'd love to have my assistant or somebody working for me, or even somebody outsourced in the Philippines or India or wherever do this work for you, I've actually created a job posting that will help you find the perfect person to do that. Because that's sometimes the hardest part about outsourcing, is just, what do I tell them that their job role is going to be? I've created a script for you for the job posting that you can use to easily get great candidates and have somebody else actually do this work for you. There's also an accountability program and lifetime updates, and like I say, I'll show you more about that accountability program here in a bit, but the lifetime updates is really such an amazing thing, and it's something that's unique to all of the products that Sean creates as well, is that anytime there's new updates, you get those new updates. So for those of you that are watching this that are existing Linked Influence members, you will actually get the brand new training and all of the brand new scripts and everything that are inside the Linked Influence members area right now. So and I'm seeing a few people on here. How many people do we have on the webinar that are currently Linked Influence members? I see one person asked, is this the same Linked Influence that was started a couple of years ago? It is the same program, but it's brand new training. It was literally recorded by me not long ago, and all of the training that's been updated and the videos and the scripts and everything to do with this training program is completely brand new. And if you are an existing Linked Influence member, you get a lifetime update. So, of course, you get access to that right away. I'm seeing quite a few people on here, actually, that are saying yes, yes, yes. So that's great to know. You guys do get instant access on this. And you guys can be our testament to this. You can maybe even just type in there, you know, what did you think of Linked Influence the first time you went through it? Did it help you with your business? That'll probably help other people that are maybe thinking about doing it right now. And, you know, while you're typing that in, I want to tell you also that if you are thinking that, yeah, this sounds great maybe, but I'm not sure, just know this, that there is a 60-day money-back guarantee on the training itself. That's 100% guarantee that if you go through this and you're not seeing results or you're just frustrated by it, you don't think that it's for you, you can get your money back. There's no questions asked, but we're so confident that you're going to love this. In fact, like I say, the scripts alone are going to be worth every single penny that you'll pay for this course, because it's really, you know, plug and play essentially. You can, you know, not even have to think about it. You just use everything that I've created, and you can ultimately do what I showed you here today. So on that note, then I want to ask you guys, because it's always interesting to see what the perceived value of this is, so that we can, you know, truly, you know, create the best products and offer the best value for all of our members. But what would you expect to pay for instant access to a course like this? So it includes all of the training videos, all of those scripts, all of the tools to make it easy for you to keep accountable and on par, and, you know, have that buddy system in place to ultimately get more results. Just go ahead and type it into that chat box and let me know what you think this actually should be worth. Linda says no idea, but probably a lot. I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised by the actual price of this. Getting a few responses in here, seeing, you know, $5,000, $2,000. Of course, you know, like I tell you, I have a LinkedIn training and consulting company myself, and we do charge in the $5,000 plus range to work with our corporate clients to essentially teach them this exact same stuff that we have here inside the members area. So, all right, let me not, you know, hold you guys in suspense any longer. I'll tell you exactly what you're going to pay today. It's $97. It's a one-time fee. It ultimately gets you everything that I told you about here today, as well as those lifetime updates, all the messaging scripts, the training videos, the files, the transcripts, the clip notes. There's a couple other bonuses on there as well that we'll talk about here in 1 second. But I actually want to bring Sean back on here for a moment, because, you know, he's obviously been involved in Linked Influence for a number of years too, and can really attest to some of the feedback that he's received from old clients and new clients and everything else, and really just help answer your guys' questions about this too. And I'm going to take a look in the chat box area and see if we have any existing members that are giving us some feedback here as well. So, Sean, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me? Check,
Loud
check,
and
check.
Clear.
All right,
Gotcha.
awesome. All right. Well, dude, hey, before we go any further, first of all, thanks for an awesome presentation. This one, when I look at the progression of each presentation, they just keep getting better and better. So I think this is definitely your best one so far. You had great energy, and the content was top notch. So really appreciate you, Trevor.
The feedback's been amazing too. I love seeing all these comments coming in from people.
I know, and just so you guys know, no, this is a tough one. Kubota just asked if we purchased before we'd be getting webinar bonuses. I think that is pretty much excluded to new people, but let me think about that one for a little bit. I mean, it's a big enough bonus just getting this thing updated. A lot of you guys are chiming in that you're seeing it now and updated for the first time, so that is great. This was a short but meaty presentation, says Tisha, so that was our aim. I hope you guys got a ton of value out of this. I really appreciate it. A lot of appreciate you staying on. A lot of you guys have just chimed in saying great stuff, great stuff, great stuff. It's truly a no-brainer. Greg, I couldn't agree more. For $100, I mean, if you're even on the fence about it, just go ahead and do it. If you've stayed on this long and you've gotten value out of what Trevor said so far, imagine just being able to get straight into Trevor's brain and go through every little kind of step-by-step. In fact, Trevor, can you open up the members area and just kind of give a walkthrough and kind of show people what it looks like? Because for me, this is something we worked really, really hard on. to bring this thing kind of to life. And again, that the link someone was just asking.
So the link to get LinkedInfluence is on this page. Just go ahead and click it, complete your purchase, and you'll get
in there instantly too. A lot of times that's one of the first questions we get is like, do I got to wait for this? Do I download it? No, you get instant access to it. And let me show you this right now. And I mentioned that I would do this at the start, but I'll just go back to the homepage real quick here. So you can see that here's all the modules inside, and you'll notice that there's a great interface in here. Sean and his team have done an amazing job to make this truly a pleasurable experience. If you've done any kind of online training before, maybe sometimes you've been frustrated by the layouts and the way that the videos work and the features and all that, this is the best online training that I've ever seen as far as the way that the functionality of this site works. You can see all the modules, the transcripts, the clip notes, all the MP3 downloads are all available from this nice slide-out menu on the right or on the left-hand side. And then if I just go through the menu at the top here, you'll see that we've got the accountability section. So let me dive in there. So just fill out this form.
Really cool.
Yeah, maybe you want to tell them about this, Sean, because this is your team on the back end that's doing all this.
Yeah, you know, this was just an idea that we came up with to give you the ability to connect with another member of LinkedInfluence and kind of hold each other accountable and going through the training. We know that you're going to get the most value, obviously, if you go through the training that you purchased. And oftentimes people have great intentions but then fall off. So if they have somebody helping kind of hold them accountable who has the same exact interest as they do, and that's, you know, learning what they can from Trevor with LinkedInfluence and then implementing it. So what happens is you just enter your information, and then within 24 hours the system will automatically pair you up with another person who is in the exact same spot and wants someone, you know, to hold them accountable to go through the training. And you'll both be sent an email with each other's contact information, and then kind of some guidelines and some suggestions on how to go through the training together and how to get the most out of it. So it's really, really cool. We've gotten amazing feedback from this, from people going through this. We've got a lot of friendships. You know, some people have said that, you know, I'm sure this will be a lifelong friendship with this person, or I wouldn't be able to get through this without this person. So we haven't had any relationships pop out of it that I'm aware of yet, but that I'm sure will happen soon, because we have this in all of our trainings and people are using it. Dozens of people are getting paired up every day. So the feedback has been phenomenal. So we have that. All the resources, contact us. Go back to the training, Trevor, or this is the resources. So anytime Trevor mentions anything in the training, you can come here and find it, including the scripts.
Yeah, I'll just actually open these up. So that
I was just going to say do
right
that.
Now.
And if you have, while we're going through this, if you have any questions on the content or everything, someone just said, "Are you serious? This is awesome! Oh my God, this is freaking awesome!"
So check this out. These are the these are the scripts right here, guys. And there's I don't even know how many pages of scripts there are in here, but all kinds of stuff. There's that warm introduction method. There's methods to keep in touch. That who viewed your profile. That's the one I just reviewed with you on the webinar here. There's scripts for endorsements, recommendations, joining and growing your group. I actually saw a question come in, which we'll address in a second, but there's scripts in here on how to build your group.
Stop showing all these, Trevor. Get out of there. There's a bunch in there. If someone just asks, as an existing member, do we get these? Yes, they're in there for you. Like we said earlier, all of this, it's always a lifetime purchase. So one time for education on LinkedIn. LinkedIn changes often, so anytime there's a major change, you want to learn how to handle it, you come back to the training and you'll see an updated training on it. So anyway, lifetime, and then yes, you do get these. They're in the resources section. Go on, and again, if you have any questions related to the content or anything, go ahead and click that. And I want to just show you a couple things. We don't really advertise this stuff because I want you to kind of stumble upon it. My main focus for you when you land on the training is to get into the training, but you'll start to see some things that you'll stumble upon that will help you kind of get through this faster. And one of the things here, Trevor, if you could click on the right, it's like a table of contents on the right. We made this so that, go ahead and click that one, so that you could find different things and find it quicker. But one of the cool things too, if you watch as this kind of progresses, you will see the check mark will actually turn green and start to fill in. So as you go through this, you'll see all of this. So you can come back to this. Like, I don't know, Trevor, if you have any other ones where since you set this particular user account up, if you've gone through any of these, you can see, you'll come back to a training and you'll see a lot of these are green, but some may not be, and those are the ones you need to watch if you haven't watched already. Yeah, and then down below you can, you want to do, okay, show that real quick.
let's see, I'll just go back to the first one here. I think, yeah, there you go. So you see, I actually watched this whole video. I skipped the training overview.
Because you already know it, yeah.
Because I already knew it, yeah. But yeah, you can see here I've gone through all these, or at least watched this whole video, so it shows it all completely covered in green. And again, you know, if I play this one, I think you were going to mention this here too, Sean. Like if I
the notes. So yeah, if you want to take any notes on any of these trainings, you know, like this is where Trevor talks about how to grow your group to 1,000 members or whatever. You would type that in, and then it automatically saves below the training that's there for you to reference at any point, and then the timestamp to the left of your note you can click on, and it'll take you right to that particular point in the training. So like click the one below that says 1815 Trevor, and it should the video hopefully if
sure so there
actually I know it works perfect. Yeah, there you go. It takes you right to 1815. So anyway,
and the other nice feature on this, I'll just mention it too. Like I don't know if you guys noticed that, but as I was here, I'll just play this again, and you'll notice that the video is moving, right? 1824, 25, add notes, and save that note. It doesn't refresh the page, it just drops that note in there, so you don't lose that. I know this is some of the stuff that drives me crazy sometimes with membership sites is, you know, like you do something and then it refreshes the page and you lose your spot. So that's why I say, like, all these features that Sean and his team have built into this just make it super simple for you to walk through this, get back to where you started, refer back to all the notes that you make as you're watching the training. It makes a huge difference in your productivity and ultimately your results. And that's why, you know, him and his team have invested the time and the effort and the money ultimately to build out such a great
Trevor, someone was asking what service is this? It's actually in WordPress, and this is a custom theme that we've built, and I probably have spent, I would guess, over the years, because this started as one thing, and we kind of just progressed, and hey, let's add notes, or hey, let's add the table of contents. We constantly ask people for feedback, and from that feedback then determine changes to make. And actually the table of contents on the right came from people saying, we surveyed refunders, people had refunded, and a couple people said I didn't get the value I needed out of it. And for me, that was, you know, an indication that we did a poor job of displaying the content, because I knew no matter what level people were at with any of our trainings, there's always several nuggets in there that make it worth their $100 purchase, because you can't know everything. And when somebody does this for a living and full time, you know, they tend to know a lot more generally than people that know a lot about a topic. So we use this thing on the right, the table of contents, to show people, to help people get to different things a little bit quicker. So our thought is, if we can display it better, then you'll find it easier and you'll get more value. So anyway, I could talk on and on about this forever.
Yeah.
Let me just answer some of these questions that have come in. A lot of it is about the members area, which I'm just going to leave those alone. If you really want, we'll get up to those at the end. But somebody who just says, I bought the first LinkedIn Influence, I have to pay for this, or will I find this info in the members area? If you go and log in, you will find that you get this. It's part of, again, our lifetime guarantee. You get this stuff, the updates for life. So it is there, and if for whatever reason you forget your username and password, or if you guys need anything, you can shoot support@linkedinfluence.com an email, and there's people actually there standing by right now, waiting to take care of you. So awesome. Yeah, I would agree. It is awesome. And updates for life are great. Thank you, Roxanne. And thank you, Roxanne. We appreciate you. So let me see if there's any more questions that were related to the content. The email transcripts are in the resources section. I believe just scroll down and you'll see messaging scripts about halfway down the page in there. Somebody just asked. That's why I was bringing that up. And okay, let me just see real quick.
I saw a question earlier, Sean, asking about you know, whether or not this is for newbies, or if it's something that's got a bit more advanced training in it, or what the deal is with that. And I actually, it leads well to this next, to this testimonial I actually wanted to show you guys, because I received this like a week ago. This was from Carrie Reed, who is a very advanced user of LinkedIn. And now there is all kinds of basic stuff to get you started if you're new on LinkedIn, but you guys can read this on the screen, of course, but Carrie's an advanced user of LinkedIn, and she was skeptical at first about the LinkedIn Influence training program, because maybe she's gone through others before and been disappointed, but she ultimately came away with some nuggets of gold, and she's actually communicated with me 3 or 4 times since then saying, oh, I just watched module 4.3 on prospecting, and I've implemented this new strategy, and I'm already getting responses and generating leads for my business. So, you know, I'm getting these kind of responses every single day as new people get into the membership area and really start digging in and going through the training. So it's not just for beginners, it's not just for advanced users. There's a little bit for everybody there. And there is, the majority of the training shows you how to do all this stuff using the free account, but I do actually go through a lot of stuff using the premium account too, because there is, of course, advantages to using a premium account, but there's also a cost. So I wanted to make sure that I addressed as many audiences as I possibly can while still making it easy for all of you to go and find that. And just a couple more testimonials here, and you'll notice on the bottom one there that, you know, this is one of our loyal members from the past that's now a new upgraded member and obviously can access all of this training, and he's seen it and loves what he's seeing inside of there, and obviously loved what it used to be as well when Lewis did all the training. So all kinds of people in there, and that accountability program, imagine getting hooked up with somebody that's going to help you stay on target. It's ultimately going to help you get advanced results from LinkedIn and start to see some real revenue come your way, because that's what we're here for. I talked about it at the start of the webinar. We're here for results, right? We're here to create opportunities and to ultimately get what we're looking for in life. And for some of you, that was to save for retirement. Others, it was to have a baby or buy a car or pay off debts. Whatever the case might be, that's why we created this. It's not fluffy material. It's actual strategies that will get you results. And Sean, you mentioned that there was some questions coming in there too. Maybe we'll jump right into the Q&A, and then afterwards we'll tell everybody about the webinar bonus too. So if you guys want to stick around for that, we'll tell you how you can get access to a couple of those bonuses for our new members that are joining us here too.
Yeah, for sure. Let me just see real quick. Okay, cool. There's a great question that just came in. Again, if you want just to address you by name, just remember to put your name and then the question. Betsy, and a lot of you guys are doing that, so I appreciate that. But this one just says, how do you connect the prospects you find here into an autoresponder? Will this be one of the things that you also teach?
How do you connect the prospects you find here into an autoresponder? Will this be one of the things you teach? So when I mentioned in the group feature, maybe if you want to clarify that while I'm just talking here, because I think I know what you mean, but the welcome message in LinkedIn is essentially an auto email. It's not necessarily an autoresponder. The autoresponders that are set up like a sequence where one goes out every couple days or every week, that's set up in an email marketing tool. There's not really an automated autoresponder feature built within LinkedIn aside from that welcome message, which is the powerful one I showed you that goes out when anybody joins your group, and has been proven to build email lists literally on autopilot. You can set it using that script that I showed you, just tweak it to your own needs, and you'll find that you'll get similar results as well. Let's see if there's a follow-up on that. I don't see anything in there, but hopefully that addressed your question. If not, just type in the box there. Maybe put your name beside it too, just so we can see who's asking the questions there as well.
Awesome. And Mary just said, if I was to start a new group, how often would you suggest I post content? That's a great question.
That is a great question, and it's actually, I mentioned that there's a full video inside the training area that talks exactly about how to come up with an idea of the name of your group, how to set up all the settings properly so that people know what to expect, how to recruit people to join your group, how to find influencers that will write content for your group. And that's where I want to answer this question, is that you don't need to do all the work when it comes to growing your LinkedIn group. How often would you post content? Even if you're doing it once a week, you're going to be reaching out to people that are in similar industries, that are complementary industries, and giving them all kinds of incentive to join you in this pursuit of growing a LinkedIn group so that they're creating the content for you. That's one of the best things about these LinkedIn groups, is that you don't even have to do the work, literally. You just need to set it up properly with enough thought in the beginning to your naming convention, and then how you reach out to the right people to get them to join. And these things literally run on their own. So you don't even have to publish content in your group. You can, of course, because that's a great strategy to build your own authority and presence online and position yourself as an expert, but there's really no prerequisite or requirements in order to see that growth for you to publish content.
Got it. And Lavana just came back and said, how do I import prospects from the welcome letter into my autoresponder? And Lavana, that is something that what Trevor was showing there, that autoresponder is within, it's the group welcome message. So you edit that. Trevor covers all of that in the training and then has the script actually that he uses in the messaging scripts for that autoresponder. But it's the welcome message. You just edit that, throw it in there, and then that directs people to wherever you want to send them. Trevor, in his case, was showing you the Sports Networker, which has a video, and then below that an opt-in to get a free guide on landing a job in the sports industry. So hopefully that answers your question. Trevor uses Infusionsoft. There's a lot of great companies out there that do the same thing, called like Aweber, MailChimp, Ontraport, etc. So, and Mary just said, Trevor, super. Thank you. I'm excited to start my career search group.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is great. Okay,
and
so
definitely, Mary. I think Mary's a new member too. Mary, please definitely watch that video, because you're going to see, and then you'll find the script in the members area there in the resources section. Just follow that model. Trust me, this works. I've seen it happen with numerous clients. We do it ourselves. We're continuing to build new groups every day because they're like email lists. They're essentially your own email list outside of an email client. So, what better way to start growing your business than through a LinkedIn group that's ultimately free to create. You don't even have to pay for it, right?
For sure. Okay, cool. So this is a great one. Lavana just said, but prospects don't respond from the first email. So there's no way. If they don't respond, they don't opt in, the only other way you could do it is within the group, just post good content that drives them to a blog or a website where they could opt in. But if they don't respond, you can't export your group members. Trevor, I don't know if you remember, but you used to be able to export members out of the group. And it was a tremendous way to build an email list back in the day, but they quickly figured out people were doing that. One of the things you can,
in fact, export your first-degree contacts, though.
Yeah, I was just going to say, one of the things I'll be talking about in the bonus webinar, that if you're looking at the slides there back on the screen, you can see there's a second bonus. And one of the things, that particular webinar is going to be an advertising training that I'm doing, primarily focusing on some pretty cool things that we're doing with Facebook advertising and also with retargeting. So I'm going to share with you some stuff we're doing. One of the things, and somebody just commented, Liz, if you have any issues or anybody has any issues accessing the training, if you are an old member and you can't remember your username or password and it's the forgot my password isn't coming to your inbox, or if you have any issues signing up, send support@linkedinfluence.com an email right now. There's people there standing by. I had our support team stick around for this webinar tonight to help out just in case we had anything. So again, it's support@LinkedInfluence, and it's not LinkedIn Influence, it's LinkedInfluence. Kind of a play on words there. So if you'll do that, they'll be happy to take care of you. So, but again, this webinar, I'm going to be showing you how do you do retargeting, and then how to do some pretty cool stuff with Facebook ads. But one of the things that's been working well for a lot of people that we'll cover on here is marketing to your existing contacts on LinkedIn via Facebook. So do I have any realtors on the call, or mortgage brokers, or anybody really who has kind of a service to sell? A lot of our realtor clients are using this, and it's working really well. Okay, good. Just seeing a slew of yeses come in. So insurance, same thing. So a lot of you guys, are, especially realtors, insurance, mortgage professionals, and I'm trying to think of some others, but really showing your face is really important in your advertising. It creates that kind of recognition. It creates trust in a lot of ways. So what some of our clients are doing, relationship coaching, this is really applicable for anybody. The realtors have been getting really excited about it.
Yeah, it's the B2C crowd, right? It's the ones going direct to consumer. Exactly.
And really it's good for anything, but I think for whatever reason, we're just getting the feedback from the realtors. But what I'm talking about, and I'll cover this in detail in the webinar, but basically it's exporting your connections on LinkedIn, uploading them as what's called a custom audience on Facebook, and then if they use the same email to register for Facebook as they did for LinkedIn, which most people are seeing about an 70 to 80% success rate. It will match them up to their Facebook profile, and then you can run ads targeted just to them. So if you have 1,000, 500, 2,000 connections on LinkedIn, you can use now Facebook to target them directly. So it's a really, really cool thing. Cool. Yeah, and the realtor, we're hearing a lot of great feedback from our realtor crowd. So for me, this is something you use not necessarily to sell to them, but just to add some more value and to kind of get back in front of them more. And the clicks on this stuff is so cheap when you are marketing to an audience that you already have. It literally, I mean, from my experience, it's about 20% of what you would pay to market to the most targeted audience you can think of. So if you were to go through and do a targeted audience and compare that to marketing to emails that you already have, or what's called a custom audience, we find the conversions, the cost, everything, the cost for the clicks, the cost for the conversions are way, way, way cheaper. All right, so I think we've gotten all the questions out of the way. A lot of great people have picked it up. I can go through here and just start naming off some names. Scott just typed in, done, just ordered. Thanks for all the help getting this webinar, Sean. Scott, I think Scott, was it you that was emailing me in the very beginning when we started, Trevor? I went back and checked my email, and there were several people that were having issues getting on, and I think it was you, Scott. Yeah, it is. I can see you here in the email, so glad you're able to finally get on and join us. So I can't wait for you to get your feedback on the training. I think you're going to love it.
And if you guys ordered already too, if you've ordered while we're on the webinar, please let us know in the box there. Do it right now, actually, because I want to give away another webinar bonus here too, because I've done this a couple times. As Sean mentioned, we've done 2 or 3, I think 3 webinars now actually, and I've given away this 1-hour consultation to one of our new members that bought during the time that we actually did this webinar. And the consultation, it's taken a different spin with every person that I talk to, but it's generally around LinkedIn strategies. For some people, it's optimizing their profile, getting some feedback and help on that. Maybe it's about implementing a more lead gen type strategy, and for others, it's even taking it off of LinkedIn. Like, how do you go about generating the autoresponder and implementing your email marketing services to ultimately generate those leads we were talking about through the LinkedIn groups? Because my business is not just LinkedIn. I do all kinds of stuff. So I don't actually offer consulting services anymore because I'd have to be charging $2,000 an hour to make it worth my time. But I am going to offer up 1 hour of consultation to one new member that's bought in the time that we've been on the webinar here today. So just type it in there. Just say, I'm ordered, I'm a new member, or something to that degree. And I'm going to let Sean do the picking this time. And he's really good at the random close your eyes and donkey tail on the donkey kind of thing. So let's do that again.
I literally will close my. You know what? There's like 5 people that just typed in. I'm ordering right now. So I'm going to just wait just a couple more minutes, or let's just give it about 1 or 2 more minutes. And if anybody else wants to get in on this, that would be great. And go ahead and type it in. And again, if you have any issues, people are like, me. If you have any issues, and you know what, you have to put your name first, because a lot of you, it just shows friend. Again, with the one-click registration, we didn't ask for a name. And if we didn't already have that in the database, it didn't port over. But if you have any issues, it's support@linkedinfluence.com, and they will take care of you. So if you're trying to get in, if you're an old member trying to get in, you don't remember your password, they can look it up and reset it for you. Or if you just picked it up tonight and you're having any issues, be sure to shoot them an email. They're texting me right now saying, are you done? No more tickets. So if you need anything, go ahead and shoot it over. And awesome. Jocelyn says, I ordered 15 minutes ago, so I must be the front runner. So we got Jocelyn, congrats. Julia said she ordered, congrats. Wayne ordered, congrats. Liz ordered. John ordered, congrats to both of you. Lavana ordered. Collis ordered, congrats. Denise ordered. Let's just see. I said Liz already. Betsy Ann picked it up. Thank you, Betsy Ann. Julia picked it up, and Denise as well. So the list goes on. Mary, and again, the support address, Julie, is support at linkedinfluence.com. And again, it's not LinkedIn Influence, but linkedinfluence.com. And all right, so I think we've given ample time. We are out of the timer's up on the Q&A, so I'm going to do this right now, Trevor.
Yes,
and this bonus is for the consultation with Trevor. What are you doing? A 10-hour consultation? Is that right?
Is there a typo there? Jeez.
No, I'm kidding. It's 1 hour with Trevor, and you get brownies.
Hour.
You get brownies. So
Virtual brownies. Virtual brownies. They're on their way.
Real brownies. Come on, man. I'm teasing. All right, so I'm going to close my eyes, swirl the finger around, and boom. Who is it? And Mary. Mary, that's all I have is your first name. You are the big winner. And Betsy, I know you really wanted to win, and just know you were one line away, so you were really close. But Mary, I think you need to connect with Trevor on LinkedIn. Trevor Turnbull, add him and shoot him a message there, and he will he will do it. And she says, "Woo! I visualized I would win."
Nice.
So, yes,
see, this stuff works. We talked about that at the start of the webinar.
It does work. Very, very cool. So, all right.
Awesome.
And Betsy says, "Seriously, I'm sorry, Betsy. I think you should message Trevor, Betsy, and maybe he'll take care of you. And give you maybe not an hour, but a half hour, because you were really close, and I know you really wanted it. So, I'm not going to speak."
Yeah, like obviously there's only so many hours in the day, but I do encourage everybody, even if you're on the fence about joining LinkedIn Influence too, connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have extra questions coming from the webinar here, I'll do my best to answer as many as I can, and maybe just help you get over that hump of making the decision on whether or not you want to invest in this too, because at the end of the day, my goal is to help as many of you become profitable and make lots of money using LinkedIn so that you can visualize all those beautiful things that you want in life, like going to see your kids and wife on the beach and have dinner. So, that's what we're all going for. We want that perfect life, and I ultimately want to help you use LinkedIn to get that. That's really what my goal is. So reach out to me, find me on LinkedIn, connect with me, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Trevor, huge thanks so much. If you're on, or if you're listening to this on the replay, and you're still on the fence or you're questioning it, I mean, my advice is, as long as $100 is not your last $100, or going to set you back to the point that you're suffering. If you have $100, my advice is take advantage of it. I mean, for $100, this literally could be $1,000 training, and I think people would feel just as good about their purchase if it was that price, because there is that much value there, and you will get it out. And if for whatever reason you don't, just shoot support at LinkedIn Influence an email, at linkedinfluence.com an email, and we'll be happy to refund you your money. But anyway, this is awesome. I'm motivated to complete the modules, says Kubota. If you guys, one thing we didn't talk about too is on the front, when you look at all the modules, there's a progress meter, so you can see what you've completed and what not. And anyway, Kubota just says, let people know not to give it a second thought. It is the best LinkedIn training. So I really appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for all the great feedback throughout this entire webinar. We've had a really active and engaged audience, and I just want to say thanks for everybody for showing up. I hope you got tremendous value. My assumption is if you're still here, you enjoyed it, you loved it, you got great value. If you want to type in right now and send Trevor a message, tell him how great it was, or you liked it, or you thought it was amazing, any kind of feedback, this is the kind of stuff that fuels us and lets us know we did a good job. And if you thought Trevor sucked, tell him that and tell him how he can improve. I'm gonna do that anonymously just to tease you one time. Anyway, again, we really appreciate
at constructive criticism. Horrible.
Well, I've got some for you after we hang up this. I'll call you. No, I'm just teasing. You did great. I really appreciate it. So, without any further ado, again, thanks to everybody. Thanks to you, Trevor. I'm going to turn it over to you for any final last words. And someone, Betsy Ann, just say, now I know the live aspect of this is not always BS. Yes, it isn't always BS. Sometimes we do pretend that we're live and we're not. I'm just kidding. We never pretend that we're live. Sometimes it's perceived as we're live or not. But when we are, you'll usually know. So thanks for that, Betsy Ann. And you know what? Listen to this, Trevor. I'm going to say this and then turn it over to you. Mary just gave a really thoughtful comment and feedback. She says she's been a trainer for over 15 years, and this training was professional, well-paced, and very clear. Many thanks, Mary Kruger. So, Mary, thank you for that. And, Trevor, I'm going to turn it over to you for any final last words. So thanks again, brother.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, that's Mary is the Mary that's going to reach out to me to have a chat. So I'm looking forward to that one, Mary. Obviously, I'm sure I can learn a lot from you as well. And for all of you that maybe didn't win the 1 hour consultation but want to reach out to me, like Sean said, fire me a text, or sorry, fire me a message on LinkedIn rather. I'm happy to connect with you. I'm happy to help you along the way as best as I can. And of course, we'll build a relationship. That's really what this is all about too. So, I see Betsy Ann on here, Loretta, Kubota, there's, who else is there? Jocelyn as well. Jocelyn, I'm wondering if you're maybe from out east in Canada. I see Chouinard as, that's very French, so I'm guessing you might be Canadian here. Who else do we got? Stanley stuck around with us here as well. I've seen your name on here before too, Stanley. Liz. Who else do we got? Julia as well. I know, Julie, we're having some troubles with the login, so make sure you connect with support@linkedinfluence.com and you'll get all help there and hooked up. Dawn, there was Denise. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I see Lilani as well. Awesome. I hope to see you inside the members area there too. Oh, Stanley actually says, yeah, it's your first live webinar. Maybe your name just sounded familiar to me, but regardless, guys, thank you very much for being here. I know you could be in other places, you could be doing different things, but you spent your time with me, and I hope you got value out of this. And I hope to see as many of you as I can inside of Linked Influence. Please connect with me on LinkedIn, and we'll hope to talk to you again very soon. Have a great night.